From Mali to Burkina Faso, moving to Chad and Niger, covering the northeast of Nigeria, multiple armed groups, national armies, as well as local militias are engaged in violent conflicts that drive poverty. The conflicts are ethnic and religious in nature. I am talking of conflicts embedded in bitter politics of nations. And this has resulted in massive corruption and underdevelopment in the West African sub-region. It also applies to other regions of Africa. Sometimes, the quest for justice by the oppressed leads to bloody insurrections. African governments have been irresponsible over time, leading to strong citizen opposition that leads to war. The alliance of separatists and armed groups that took over northern Mali in 2012 exposed the weaknesses of African states in providing incentives for development. Are you with me in this class? The class of politics and power. The radio man is here. It's the radio man's time. It's your time. The radio man has come. Radio. The radio man is here. Join the radio man. Wake up your children. Tell them the radio man is on. Tell them it's about history. Tell them it's about power. It's about politics. It's about learning. It's about unlearning. I was talking about the alliance of separatists and armed groups that took over northern Mali in 2012. They ran the government out of power. Mali has always been a weak state. And France has been sucking these West African countries dry. You know, the scramble for Africa has never stopped. And big powers do well when there is conflict. It gives them power to extract resources. The war in the Congo, as we speak, it's not the Congo war really. It's a world war that is going on in Congo. Different countries are fighting over the resources of Congo, and they are using Congolese in that battle, sponsoring different factions. So if you go to Congo, Congo has been fighting. It is called Congo World War. Congo is one of the most endowed countries of the world in terms of natural resources. So the world will kill itself there. Even before independence, there was war in the Congo. And when Patrice Lumumba came as the Prime Minister of Congo, he wanted to create some kind of stability. Oh, there's a book you need to read about the Congo. You see, your mind will be opened. You'll be saying, wow, hey. You know, sometimes African leaders are looking for legitimacies. You rig election, you come to power, and you think people will not be aggrieved. When you are in power, you want to extend your stay, you want to change the constitution, you think people will not protest. You know, African leaders have underrated Africans over time. And Africans in their own way will say no. And before you know it, there is war. Europeans will use them against themselves. Now it's happening in the Sahel. In the case of Mali, when militias ran over the country, France intervened. And France intervenes to stop the collapse of Mali. More than half of Mali was in the hands of militias, militants. But France was able to control Bamako, the capital of Mali. But it did not stop the insurgency. France has not been able to stop the insurgency in any West African country. Some even think that France is sponsoring the insurgency to remain relevant in West Africa. That is debatable. France could not control the conflict in Mali. And when you don't control conflict, you know what happens? It spreads. So from Mali, the conflict spreads to Burkina Faso. The militants moved into Burkina Faso. They moved into Niger. They moved into Chad. They moved into Sudan. They moved into Eritrea and the Red Sea. And Boko Haram guys were spread into Niger, into Chad. Remember about 3 years ago, Idris Deby, the president of Chad, was killed in a battlefield when he was tackling militants. He went to the war front to fight. He was killed. His son, a military officer, took over from him. It's ironical, is it not? That the president, the African leader that was sent to Niger to go and negotiate with the militant, is a military leader of Chad. And ECOWAS is saying it does not tolerate military government. But you are tolerating the one in Chad. And you had the gut to send him to go and negotiate on your behalf. And you say you stand for democracy. What a contradiction. The world accepted what happened in Chad. When Idris Deby died, the world accepted that the son, a military officer, should take over. So what is good for Chad is not good for Niger. That's what you call double standard. And Tinubu and ECOWAS had the guts to send Deby's son to Niger, a military officer, to go and warn another military officer to leave. You didn't send the president of Ghana or the president of Benin. You sent a military officer. And the president of Niger, the military president of Niger, refused to see him. Is this a game of chess? Is this a game of chess by the big powers? Let me tell you this. Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad are some of the poorest countries in the world. Do you know the uranium that has been extracted from Niger? Yet Niger is the poorest country in that United Nations Development Index. The West have been extracting. The way they are extracting oil from Nigeria, yet the Niger Delta is poor. When you go to oil extracting zones in America, they are rich. I'm not blaming America. I won't blame them. I blame Africans. Africans love to be used against themselves.